welcome to part 2 of Living with Wisdom. And for this episode, we will go directly into verse 10, which is a continuation of episode 1, which you saw. And verse 10 reads, "Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as subtle as a newborn child's? In the opening and shutting of heaven's gate, can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance, giving birth and nourishing, having yet not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading without controlling or dominating? One who heeds this power brings the toe to this very earth. This is perennial virtue." And that was how we ended part 1. So for part 2, we are going to start off with, we are starting with verse number 14. "Discovering how things have always been brings me into harmony with the way. That which cannot be seen is called invisible. That which cannot be heard is called inaudible. That which cannot be held is called intangible. These three cannot be defined. Therefore, they are merged as one. Each of these three is subtle for description. By intuition, you can see it, hear it, feel it. Then the unseen, unheard, untouched are present as one. Its rising brings no dawn, its setting no darkness. It goes on and on, unnameable, returning into nothingness. Approaching it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You cannot know it, but you cannot be it. At ease in your own life, discovering how things have always been, bring one into harmony with the way. The place of my origination is stillness, from which all creation originates. Verse 15, the ancient masters are profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. One can only describe them vaguely by their appearances. Watchful, like men crossing a winter stream. Alert, like men aware of danger. Simple as uncarved wood. Hollow like caves. Yielding like ice about to melt. Amorphous like muddy water, amorphous as muddy water. But the muddiest water clears up as it is stilled, and all of that stillness, life arises. He who keeps the toe does not want to be full, but precisely because he is never full, he can remain like a hidden sprout and does not rush to early ripening. You know, how often you have heard it said that after midnight, what they say, the worst of any situation is before midnight, because after midnight there comes daylight. So it doesn't matter how dark that you're going, darkness you're experiencing in your life, it will not last forever. And you must truly believe that and know it inside from your core that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And you have to keep telling yourself and believing it that this is not going to last forever. There's a saying that's only salvation that lasts forever. So regardless of any turmoil that we encounter in our lives, it will not last forever. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, I observe how all endings become beginning. Verse 16. Become totally empty. Let your heart be at peace. Amidst the rush of worldly comings and goings, observe how endings become beginnings. Things flourish each by each, only to return to the source, to what is and what is to be. To return to the root is to find peace. To find peace is to fulfill one's destiny. To fulfill one's destiny is to be constant. To know the constant is called insight. Not knowing this cycle leads to eternal disaster. Knowing the constant gives perspective. This perspective is important. Impartiality is the highest nobility. The highest nobility is divine. Being divine, you will be at one with the toe. Being at one with the toe is eternal. This way is everlasting, not endangering by physical death. I fully trust that others do know what is best for them. This is a powerful one. I am sure I am not the only person who encounter people who keep telling you what they think is best for you. They really don't have their stuff together, yet they are doing their best to direct your stuff, right? So what wisdom teaching tell us is that we got to trust that each individual we encounter, whether loved one or strangers, trust that they know what's good for them. I know as parents we go through that a lot, where we want to live our children's lives for them. We don't want to free them up to do what it is they need to do and to make their mistakes. This is a valuable one, especially for parents. 17, verse 17. With the greatest leader above them, people barely know one exists. Next comes one whom they love and praise. Next comes one who they fear. Next comes one whom they despise and defy. When a leader trusts no one trusts him. The great leader speaks little. He never speaks carelessly. He works without self-interest and leaves no trace. When all is finished, the people say, "We did it ourselves." I act vivaciously. I do not need rules to be kind and just. Verse 18. When the greatness of the toe is present, action rises from one's own heart. When the greatness of the toe is absent, action comes from the rules of kindness and injustice. If you need rules to be kind and just, if you act virtuous, this is a sure sign that virtue is absent. Thus, we see the great hypocrisy. When kinship falls into discord, pity and rites of devotion arise. When the country falls into chaos, officials' loyalty will appear. Patriotism is born. I am moral, profitable, and genius extraordinary, regardless of what any transcript or bank statement may say. Verse 19, give up sainthood, renounce wisdom, and it will be 100 times better for everyone. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right things. Throw away industry and profit, and there will be no thieves. All of these are outward forms alone. They are not sufficient in themselves. It is more important to see the simplicity, to realize one's true nature, to chase off selfishness and temper desire. I am doing nothing, rather, I am being done. Verse 20, giving up learning, and you will be free from all of your cares. What is the difference between yes and no? What is the difference between good and evil? Must I fear what others fear? Should I fear desolation when there is abundance? Should I fear darkness when that light is shining everywhere? In spring, some go to the park and climb on the terrace, but I alone am drifting, not knowing where I am. Like a newborn babe, before it learns to smile, I am alone without a place to go. Most people have too much. I alone seem to be missing something. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus. It is unadulterated simplicity. I am but a guest in this world. While others rush about to get things done, I accept what is offered. I alone seem foolish, earning little, spending less. Other people strive for fame. I avoid the limelight, preferring to be left alone. Indeed, I seem like an idiot. No mind, no worries. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. All men settle down in their grooves. I alone am stubborn and remain outside. But within, I am most different from others in knowing to take sustenance from the Great Mother. How do I know the way of all things at the beginning? I see it in myself. Verse 21. The greatest virtue is to follow the toe, and the toe alone. The toe is elusive and intangible. Although formless and intangible, it gives rise to form. Although vague and elusive, it gives rise to shapes. Although dark and obscured, it is the spirit, the essence, the life, breath of all things. Throughout the ages, its names has been preserved in order to recall the beginning of all things. Now, how do I know the ways of all things at the beginning? I look inside myself. I see what is within me. I exist. I resist any brokenness of being, flexible and bending when storms appear. If you have been listening this show for a while, you remember a couple of years back, I did, maybe a year or so back, I did an episode called Bending with the Wind. Bending with the wind. And the wind I was talking about there were the different struggles and trials that we encounter. So of course when I read this in this book, that was an affirmation that whenever I'm instructed to do something, to just go ahead and do that. Because when I had got that subject matter to speak about, I was thinking bending with the wind, you know. And I did it on the radio show, I did it on the TV show, and the radio show had massive downloads, so I know it resonated with a lot of people. So you might be going through some storm in your life now, just bend with it. Don't try to stand straight when it winds. You bend and you go down. Sometimes you're going to bend so low that you're going to be beneath the wind. Verse 22 reads, the flexible are preserved unbroken. The bend becomes straight. The empty are filled. The exhausted become renewed. The poor are enriched. The rich are confounded. Therefore, the sage embraced the one because he does not display himself. People can see his light because he has nothing to prove. People can trust his word because he does not know who he is. People recognize themselves in him because he has no goal in mind. Everything he does succeeds. The old saying that the flexible are preserved unbroken is surely right. If you have truly attained wholeness, everything will flock to you. It's like you're a magnet, you attract all the good things once you achieve wholeness. In all of nature, no storm can last forever. 23. To talk little is natural. Fierce winds do not blow all morning. A downpour of rain does not last all day. Who does this? Heaven and earth. But these are exaggerated forces, effects, and that is why they cannot be sustained. If heaven and earth cannot sustain a force action, how much less is man able to do? Those who follow the way become one with the way. Those who follow good becomes one with goodness. Those who stay from the way and goodness becomes one with failure. If you conform to the way, its power flows through you. Your action become those of nature. Your ways those of heaven. Open yourself to the toe and trust your natural responses. Then everything will fall into place. Boasting and showing off are examples of superficious excesses. These practices must be uprooted, thrown out, and left behind forever. Verse 24. If you stand on tippy toes, you cannot stand firmly. If you take long steps, you cannot walk far. Show off does not reveal enlightenment. Boasting will not produce accomplishments. He who is self-righteous is not respected. He who brags will not endure. All these ways of acting are audacious and distasteful. They are superfluous excesses. They are like a rain in the stomach. They're like pain in the stomach, a tumor in the body. When walking the path of the toe, this is the very stuff that must be uprooted, thrown out, and leave behind forever. I come from greatness. I attract greatness. I am greatness. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. In the mother of the universe, for lack of a better name, it is called the toe. I call it great. Great is bounteous. Bounteous is eternal flowing, ever flowing. It is constantly returning. Therefore, the way is great, heaven is great, earth is great, people are great. Thus, to know humanity, understand earth. To know earth, understand heaven. To know heaven, understand the way. To know the way, understand the great within yourself. I have the ability to stay poised and centered, regardless of what goes before me. The heavy is the root of the light. The still is the master of unrest. Realizing this, the successful person is poised and centered in the midst of all activities. Although surrounded by opulence, he is not swayed. Why should the lord of the country fit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. To be restless is to lose one's self-mastery. So, you realize that you spend a lot of time blaming other people for all the mishaps and things that happen in our lives. Where really and truly what we are learning here and what we are affirming here is that it starts with us. It begins with us, it ends with us. And so long as we open ourselves to learning wisdom, we are going to be enjoying all the greatness that we were created to do. So I hope you stay tuned for episode 3.